My electric bill jumped from $45 to $847 in 1 month, and every stolen kilowatt was charging my HOA neighbor's Tesla. Clarissa had secretly tapped into my late wife's memorial solar system while I was struggling to afford my daughter's college textbooks. Every bit of power she took funded her luxury lifestyle using my dead wife's clean energy legacy. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the smell of overheating wires and her expensive perfume lingering at the charging port told me this wasn't an accident. It was deliberate theft. I'm Russell Hammond, 58 years old, a former NASA engineer who spent 30 years designing electrical systems for spacecraft before becoming a freelance consultant. 3 years ago, I lost my wife Sarah to pollution-related asthma. The irony was bitter. She had been so passionate about clean energy and environmental protection. She dreamed of going fully solar, reducing our carbon footprint, becoming energy independent. After her funeral, I poured my grief into building a 15 kilowatts rooftop solar system as her memorial. Every panel was positioned with precision for maximum efficiency, generating enough surplus to drop our monthly electric bill from $200 down to $45. Now I'm raising our daughter, Emily, alone. She's a brilliant 22-year-old engineering student at UT Austin with just 2 semesters left. My consulting income covers the mortgage and groceries, but her $18,000 annual tuition stretches every dollar. Those solar savings weren't a luxury. They were essential for textbooks, lab fees, and weekend visits home, where we'd talk through complex problems while our cat, Mr. Newton, supervised from his favorite windowsill. I have what Emily calls NASA syndrome, measuring everything twice, labeling household items with engineering precision, creating systematic solutions for everyday problems. Coffee mug number 3 is marked for optimal heat retention. Garage tools are organized by frequency of use. Household expenses live in detailed spreadsheets. Emily says I'm thorough. Sarah used to call it obsessive, but she said it with love, appreciating how my methodical nature kept our family stable. Then came Clarissa Thornfield, 51, newly appointed chair of the Homeowners Standards Committee, armed with the enthusiasm of someone who had finally found her true calling. Picture every HOA horror story you've heard. Then add a pristine white Tesla Model S worth more than most people's annual salary and the attitude of someone who married into money but never felt secure about her status. She'd recently divorced her first husband in a messy split and compensated by controlling everyone else's property standards with the zeal of a reformed smoker crusading against cigarettes. She patrolled the neighborhood with a clipboard, measuring tape, and an air of doing us all a favor. You could hear her Tesla's cooling fan humming 24/7 in the driveway, mixed with the chemical smell of her spray tan on scorching Texas afternoons. Her designer heels crunched perfectly manicured white gravel during frequent compliance checks, sunlight always catching her oversized diamond ring just right. 3 months ago, on a Tuesday evening while I was grilling dinner for Emily's visit, Clarissa knocked holding a bright orange extension cord and an official-looking clipboard. Community Green Initiative Pilot Program, she announced, waving paperwork that looked impressive at first glance. Your solar system overproduces. We're testing power-sharing protocols for the entire community. Before I could even process it or ask for real authorization, she plugged the cord into my outdoor outlet and dragged 100 feet of cable across our driveways to her Tesla. The whole thing took maybe 3 minutes, executed with the efficiency of someone who had planned it carefully. The first month after her pilot program launched, my bill jumped to $156. The second month hit $298. This month it reached $847, more than my mortgage payment. Clarissa wasn't content with an amateur extension cord for long. Within 2 weeks, she had a professional Tesla charging station installed, bolted directly to my outdoor electrical box by a contractor she hired without telling me. When I discovered it, she was ready with a laminated participation agreement that looked official enough to fool most people. That $847 bill felt like a punch to the gut. Emily called from campus crying because she couldn't afford her organic chemistry textbook. I had to raid the emergency fund I'd saved for her graduation gift. Maybe a nice laptop for her engineering career. Even Mr. Newton suffered. His premium cat food got downgraded, and he gave me accusatory looks every time I filled his bowl. Being an engineer, I don't accept mysterious problems. I investigate systematically. I installed professional-grade power monitoring equipment, the kind NASA uses for critical systems. The data was shocking. Clarissa's Tesla consumed 75 kilowatt-hours every single night, equivalent to running 4 entire houses simultaneously. Her charging was perfectly timed with my peak solar production hours, stealing grid feedback credits that should have lowered my bills. Armed with 6 months of meticulously documented evidence, color-coded photos, power consumption charts, utility bills arranged chronologically, timestamps accurate to the minute, I approached her. I had a spreadsheet showing exactly $2,400 in documented theft over 3 months, complete with trend analysis and projected losses. Clarissa, your Tesla has consumed $2,400 of my electricity over the past 3 months. This stops immediately, and I need full reimbursement. Russell, you're being overly dramatic. It's community sharing for environmental benefit. The paperwork is still being finalized through proper channels. Your attitude really isn't very neighborly for someone participating in a green initiative. My hands shook with suppressed rage as I pointed to the data on my tablet. The artificial chemical smell of her spray tan grew stronger when she got defensive. Stress sweat mixed with industrial tanning solution. Her Tesla's cooling fan hummed smugly in the background while I filled Mr. Newton's bowl with cheap kibble that crunched disappointingly between my fingers. That's when my systematic approach paid off in ways she never expected. I reviewed 3 years of HOA meeting minutes, requesting official copies and cross-referencing every agenda item. No pilot program had ever been discussed, let alone approved. Clarissa had forged approval documents using photocopied board member signatures and stolen HOA letterhead. Tesla charging at level 2 requires 240 volts and draws 7.7 kilowatts continuously, equivalent to running 77 100-watt light bulbs for 8 hours straight every night. My solar system generates 15 kilowatts at peak, but her evening charging happened during zero solar production, forcing expensive grid power and destroying my energy savings. Her Tesla drank electricity like a drunk sailor at an open bar, and I was stuck with the tab while she pretended it was community service. She refused disconnection, claiming I'd signed a binding participation agreement giving her permanent access. She threatened HOA violation notices if I interfered with what she called approved community infrastructure. That was the moment I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was premeditated fraud. Emily's next phone call broke my heart. Dad, I had to choose between buying my lab manual and eating dinner this week. When do you think things will get better financially? I stared out the kitchen window at Clarissa's Tesla gleaming under my stolen solar-powered floodlights. Soon, sweetheart. Very soon. Other neighbors quietly approached me about their own mysteriously rising bills. Mrs. ISA next door received an official mailbox violation notice the same day she innocently asked Clarissa about community solar programs. Pattern recognition kicked in. Clarissa's arbitrary aesthetic violations targeted anyone who might investigate her too closely. That night, talking the problem through with Mr. Newton during our usual midnight kitchen conference, I realized she'd made one critical miscalculation. She'd assumed I was just another compliant suburban neighbor who would accept official-sounding authority without independent verification. When I physically blocked access to my outlet with a lockable electrical box, she escalated to formal warfare. She filed an HOA violation notice citing obstruction of approved community infrastructure and willful noncompliance with green initiatives, demanding $200 daily fines until I restored cooperative participation. The certified letter that arrived felt like a legal attack designed to crush my family. It threatened $1,400 weekly penalties, potential property liens, and forced compliance through community legal action. Emily's spring tuition deadline was approaching with zero money in our accounts. My consulting clients started asking uncomfortable questions after the HOA violation became public record. Clarissa wasn't finished. She hired a licensed electrician to install what she called a bypass connection directly to my main electrical panel, claiming emergency access rights under a fabricated HOA easement agreement that looked surprisingly official. I came home to find strangers working on my home's electrical system without permits, city approval, or my knowledge. I installed a comprehensive security camera system, powered through Mrs. ISA's outlet after she graciously gave permission. I started documenting every unauthorized access while researching Texas property law, utility regulations, and HOA governance statutes. Clarissa's actions constituted criminal violations, trespassing, utility theft, and fraud. A property attorney who specialized in HOA disputes confirmed everything after reviewing my documentation. No HOA can legally authorize utility theft from private property. Forged easements constitute felony fraud. Unpermitted electrical work violates multiple city codes with serious liability implications. Unfortunately, his services required a $5,000 retainer my budget couldn't handle. I confronted her electrician directly. "You're performing electrical work without city permits on a system powered by stolen electricity." The lady who hired me said everything was HOA approved through official channels. Clarissa arrived right on schedule for maximum drama. "Russell, you're harassing my licensed contractors of performing authorized community work. Show me the official city permit for electrical modifications to my private property." HOA approval supersedes individual city requirements for community infrastructure projects. The acrid smell of electrical work mixed with her overwhelming perfume, while unauthorized drilling sent vibrations through my panel. My hands clenched in controlled fury, holding legal documents printed on expensive letterhead. My high-definition security cameras captured her explicitly directing the electrician to make the installation look professional while discussing methods to hide connections from city inspectors. She documented herself committing fraud while believing she was being clever. Unpermitted electrical work exceeding 50 amps requires license permits in Texas. Tesla stations need 60-amp circuits for safety. Clarissa was turning my home into a potential fire hazard just to steal power for her luxury vehicle. Board members started calling me, claiming Clarissa had presented concerning evidence of my aggressive non-cooperation. She was conducting a sophisticated character assassination campaign while stealing my electricity and violating my property rights. Emily called with devastating news. "Dad, my tuition payment bounced. The financial aid office says I have exactly 48 hours to resolve this or lose my enrollment." I stare at the accumulating $200 daily fine notices spread across my kitchen counter like a financial countdown to disaster. Late-night research revealed Clarissa's desperate situation. County records showed she owed over $40,000 in back taxes on multiple luxury vehicles, carried several property liens, and faced active foreclosure proceedings. Her theft wasn't entitlement or environmental concern. It was pure financial desperation hidden behind a facade of suburban wealth. Texas property owners have absolute legal rights to control electrical access on private property. Her claims of emergency access had zero foundation. Homeowners can legally disconnect unauthorized connections without advance notice under specific circumstances. At 2 a.m., Clarissa escalated to outright vandalism. She spray-painted my security cameras with black paint, then filed an HOA complaint claiming my surveillance violated community privacy standards and created a hostile environment, demanding immediate removal and threatening $500 daily penalties for psychological harassment. The board initially sided with her, ordering camera removal within 72 hours or escalating financial penalties. Emily had to withdraw from her organic chemistry course, losing a semester's credits and delaying graduation. But Clarissa's greed pushed her further. She arranged for my solar panels to be inspected for supposed aesthetic violations, producing falsified paperwork showing different panel specifications than what was installed, suggesting unauthorized modifications. I consulted my electrical engineer friend Jimmy, who confirmed something she hadn't anticipated. Cameras placed on Mrs. ISA's property completely bypassed HOA jurisdiction. We installed new hidden surveillance equipment using professional-grade technology, powered through an underground cable I buried during a midnight operation. The upgraded system revealed her desperation. She charged her Tesla every night regardless of battery levels or driving needs, suggesting she'd lost home charging capability, probably due to electrical problems or unpaid utility bills. Her home's main panel had been red-tagged by the utility company for serious safety violations. My attorney friend reviewed everything pro bono and confirmed multiple criminal cases: utility theft, fraud, vandalism, trespassing. His key insight changed my strategy. I could legally modify my own electrical systems for legitimate purposes, including security features to protect against repeated theft, provided appropriate warning signage was installed according to Texas regulations. I designed what I privately called my smart security outlet system, using readily available components: a programmable smart switch controller, a commercial voltage regulator, and a Tesla charging port analyzer. The system would provide standard 120-volt household current normally, but could switch remotely to 240-volt industrial voltage when activated. Tesla's onboard safety system would automatically lock the charging cable at 240 volts to prevent damage to the vehicle's charging components. Only factory-authorized technicians with specialized tools could safely disconnect it. Estimated professional service cost according to Tesla documentation: $2,800 plus mandatory towing. My legal consultation confirmed the modification was completely legal with proper high-voltage warning signs. The system qualified as a legitimate theft deterrent, equivalent to car alarms or motion-activated lighting. I spent 2 intensive weeks researching Tesla charging protocols using retained NASA database access. I purchased components from electrical supply stores using my engineering credentials: Eden Smart Switch for $89, voltage regulator for $156, warning signs for $34, weatherproof lockable enclosure for $67. Total investment, $346, far less than 1 month of her stolen electricity. Normal household outlets provide 120 volts, suitable for basic Tesla charging at reduced speeds. Industrial outlets use 240 volts for heavy machinery. Tesla vehicles detect voltage irregularities and engage protective lockdown systems that prevent damage. Once locked, only factory technicians can disconnect without risking expensive repairs. I was converting my outlet into what I privately called a Tesla fly trap. She could check in any time, but she wouldn't check out without expensive professional assistance. The weekend installation required 8 hours of methodical work with NASA-level precision. Disconnect existing outlet, install smart switch, mount warning signs at eye level, test voltage switching under various loads, program remote activation through smartphone app with manual backup controls. Mrs. ISA provided alibi coverage and backup power for monitoring systems. My electrician friend Jimmy validated safety and code compliance. My attorney reviewed legal protections. Emily helped research Tesla's service procedures, costs, and insurance implications during her weekend visit. I upgraded my security cameras to professional 4K with infrared night vision and audio recording, strategically positioned to capture license plate, charging sequence, and Clarissa's reaction. The financial mathematics were compelling. 6 months of stolen electricity totaled $4,200. One night's attempted theft would cost her approximately $3,750 in service, towing, and cable replacement. My trap investment, $346. Return on investment, over 1,000%. I practiced calm, factual responses for anticipated confrontations. No emotional gloating, just pure engineering professionalism. I coordinated with other theft victims, ensuring they had alternative charging if needed. Built a coalition of witnesses for trap activation day. I selected our monthly HOA meeting date for activation, ensuring maximum witness presence. Clarissa's predictable schedule meant activation would occur hours before the meeting. Sensing my growing confidence, she tried bribery. She approached me in my driveway with a thick envelope containing $2,000 in cash, claiming it represented retroactive compensation for my generous participation in a successful pilot program. She demanded I sign a receipt acknowledging voluntary cooperation. My upgraded cameras captured the entire attempt in high-definition audio and video. She explicitly stated, "This definitely covers all the electricity your Tesla charging thing has been using since we started," repeatedly emphasizing the need to keep it between neighbors without involving authorities. Self-incrimination was documented with courtroom-quality evidence. I led her through a detailed confession about consumption duration, her knowledge of improper access, and lack of authorization. My attorney confirmed this significantly strengthened our criminal case. Clarissa filed a harassment complaint with the county sheriff, claiming my threatening behavior created an unsafe environment. The responding deputy interviewed me, Mrs. ISA, and neighbors. My professional demeanor, documentation, and community support convinced him her complaint was manipulative. He warned me about escalation, but acknowledged my right to protect my property from theft. Her financial desperation was critical. She'd borrowed the $2,000 from her sister for the bribe. Bank records showed denied payday loans, max credit cards, and Tesla lease payments 2 months behind. I completed final trap installation during her bribery conversation, using her distraction to finish voltage tests and calibration. All components were armed and ready. Panicking about my evidence collection, she spread rumors about my supposed mental instability and dangerous surveillance obsession, attempting to discredit me preemptively. As a nuclear option, she filed a city code enforcement complaint falsely claiming my solar installation violated building codes, demanding immediate removal. She bribed her nephew Derek, a junior city inspector, to fast-track a predetermined condemnation order. I received an official notice requiring inspection within 48 hours, with potential shutdown if violations were found. Sarah's memorial project faced destruction through corrupt manipulation. But I'd anticipated this pattern. My documentation package was ready. Original permits, electrical certificates, engineering specifications exceeding code, passing inspections, current insurance approvals. Professional validation confirmed my installation exceeded current codes by significant safety margins. Derek arrived with obvious bias and predetermined findings. He couldn't read basic schematics, showed zero understanding of solar regulations, quoted non-existent code sections. When I asked for his certification and solar training documentation, he faltered. The corrupt family relationship became obvious when he mentioned Aunt Clarissa's legitimate concerns. I contacted the head city inspector with evidence of systematic corruption. Derek lacked proper credentials, had falsified documents, and accepted family bribes. He was suspended within 24 hours. Clarissa's scheme collapsed spectacularly. Realizing official channels were compromised, she attempted direct physical sabotage. At 2 a.m., she loosened critical connections on my solar array, hoping to create legitimate safety violations. My security system captured her climbing the ladder with stolen tools, deliberately disconnecting safety wiring, causing dangerous sparks that could have started fires. Criminal trespassing, vandalism, and reckless endangerment were documented in high detail. Her amateur sabotage created genuine hazards. Loose connections caused arcing, serious fire risks, and $1,200 in repair costs. A licensed electrician confirmed the damage and documented fire risks from her incompetent work. The fire department classified her actions as reckless endangerment with serious potential for mass casualty in our dense neighborhood. Multiple felony charges were now inevitable. At 11:47 p.m. the night before the HOA meeting, Clarissa's Tesla approached my outlet for its routine charge. My cameras captured her confidently connecting to the outlet clearly marked with bright yellow, high voltage, authorized use only signs. I activated the voltage switch from my bedroom using the smartphone app with steady precision. The Tesla's charging port immediately locked permanently at 240 volts per manufacturer safety protocols. 6 feet of expensive charging cable now tethered her luxury vehicle to my outlet, stretching across both driveways. She discovered it at 6 a.m. when trying to drive to an appointment. The car wouldn't start. The cable wouldn't disconnect despite frantic pulling. The alarm blared whenever she tried to force it. Neighbors emerged in robes and pajamas to witness her escalating panic. She called Tesla roadside assistance. "My car is somehow stuck to my neighbor's house, and I can't get it disconnected." The technician calmly explained the cable lock required factory-authorized removal with specialized equipment. Estimated cost, $2,800 plus $150 towing. Minimum 3-day service timeline. Picture the visual. A pristine $60,000 plus white Tesla Model S tethered to my modest suburban house like an expensive pet on an elaborate leash. The cable stretched taut across both driveways, blocking vehicle access. HOA meeting attendees at 7 p.m. had to carefully walk around the immobilized Tesla to enter the community center. 150 homeowners witnessed the embarrassing display. Multiple cell phone cameras captured viral-worthy images. Local news Channel 7, originally there for a different story on community solar, recognized a better human interest angle. Tesla owner's expensive car locked to neighbor's house after months-long electricity theft dispute escalates. The HOA president called the meeting to order with obvious confusion. Our first agenda item appears to be resolving the unusual Tesla situation blocking our community center parking area. I stood with complete engineering calm. I'd like to address the community about the ongoing problem of unauthorized use of private electrical systems and property theft. I projected 6 months of utility bills on the screen, $45 jumping to $847. Security footage showed accelerated nightly charging in time-lapse. Financial calculations displayed $4,200 in documented theft. Clarissa shouted, "Russell's completely lying about everything. This is systematic harassment. My Tesla is worth more than his entire outdated solar system. Please explain to the community why your vehicle is permanently connected to my private property. Fix whatever you deliberately broke. Your dangerous outlet damaged my expensive car." The warning signs clearly stated high-voltage hazard conditions according to Texas electrical code. Tesla vehicles are programmed to automatically lock charging cables when detecting irregular voltage to prevent damage to vehicle components. This is a manufacturer's safety feature, not a malfunction. Professional removal costs approximately $2,800 according to Tesla documentation. Then I played the crystal-clear audio of her bribery attempt. "This cash definitely covers all the electricity your Tesla charging thing has been using since March. Just sign this simple receipt acknowledging voluntary cooperation." The community gasped at her recorded confession. Sheriff's deputies arrived responding to her frantic emergency call about deliberate property destruction and harassment. I calmly presented my comprehensive evidence package: theft documentation, sabotage footage, bribery audio, financial analysis. The professional organization and overwhelming evidence impressed law enforcement. Clarissa was arrested for multiple felony charges in front of 150 neighbors and live television cameras: utility theft, criminal mischief, attempted bribery, reckless endangerment from sabotage. Spontaneous applause erupted as deputies escorted her to the patrol car. She faced grand theft for electricity valued over $4,000, criminal mischief, attempted bribery of a crime victim, and reckless endangerment threatening community safety. The district attorney called it a textbook case of residential fraud with escalating criminal behavior. Bond was set at $25,000, an amount her financially collapsed family couldn't afford. The court ordered $8,500 restitution, $4,200 for stolen electricity, $1,200 for sabotage repairs, $2,800 for Tesla service, $300 for legal fees and court costs. Her Tesla lease was terminated for non-payment and criminal use. The vehicle was auctioned to cover damages. She accepted a plea agreement: 18 months suspended sentence, 200 hours community service focused on residential crime prevention education, 3 years probation. Her nephew Derek was fired and faced separate bribery charges. The HOA board unanimously removed her from all committees and banned her from future leadership. The bank completed foreclosure on her home within 60 days. Her family relocated to a modest budget apartment. Brad's luxury car dealership liquidated inventory to pay debts. Their marriage survived, but their lifestyle was permanently downgraded to sustainable levels. My documentation helped 8 other theft victims recover over $12,000 through civil litigation and insurance. The HOA implemented transparency policies preventing future abuse. Local property values rose 8% due to improved governance and media coverage. The settlement funded Emily's final semester, graduation expenses, and job search reserves. Inspired by my approach, she changed her major focus to electrical engineering with renewable energy specialization. I was honored at her graduation, deliberately scheduled on Sarah's birthday anniversary, as a symbolic completion of our family's solar legacy and educational journey. I donated remaining funds to establish the Sarah Hammond Memorial Solar Education Program, offering free installation workshops and financial assistance for low-income families pursuing renewable energy independence. Emily volunteers as youth coordinator during breaks, teaching neighborhood children about clean energy and standing up to bullying. The story was featured in Solar Power World magazine as a residential theft prevention case study. The trap activation video reached over 3 million views across social media. I became a recognized advocate for homeowner electrical rights throughout Texas and neighboring states. Local electricians began referencing the Hammond Protocol for theft prevention in residential solar installations. NASA headquarters contacted me about consulting on space station power system security protocols. Mr. Newton received his premium cat food upgrade and a professionally built scratching post funded by settlement money. Neighbors joke that our cat showed superior character judgment about Clarissa compared to most humans. Mrs. ISA became a close family friend, joining us for weekly dinners and community planning. Neighborhood bonds strengthened through shared experience of overcoming abuse via collective action. Community block parties resumed for the first time in over 3 years. Now I want to hear your HOA nightmare stories. Share your worst neighbor situations in the comments. I read every one and reply with practical engineering advice. When facing systematic problems, engineer systematic solutions.